Look, I'm Ryan Busse. I'm running for governor. And I want to tell you, our state's in peril, and the stakes are high. If you're a woman, if you have a mother, a daughter, if you have a friend that's a woman, if you care about privacy, should have just about every, I'm not going to make you stand up again. But listen, these people, this supermajority, this governor we have, they're coming after your right to privacy. They're coming after your health care. Somebody asked me the other day, it wasn't too long, Halloween wasn't too long ago, they said, what are you going to dress up as? I said, I can't think of anything scarier than Greg Gianforte sitting in a doctor's office with somebody I know, so I'm not even going to try to top that. But that should frighten the hell out of you. You don't have to take my word for it. Senate Bill 154 passed the supermajority legislative session, and on May 3rd, this year, Gianforte hops up on a stage with a bunch of his Republican friends, and he says that's one of his proudest achievements in the entire legislative session. Senate Bill 154 all but guarantees they are going to gut the Constitution, strip the right to privacy from it, so that they can come after people's health care privacy, because our Constitution guarantees the right to privacy, and they don't like that. So you don't have to take my word for what they want to do. They want to turn this place into the Handmaid's Tale. That's what they're trying to do. I take them at their word. I grew up on a ranch outside of a little town of 641 people. The sign driving in said 641 friendly people. A little bit of a lie, they weren't all friendly. Most of them were. I graduated with 16 kids. I believe public school is the backbone of our democracy. 16 out of 16 of us, kids, not one of us wealthy. We thought my friend Doug was wealthy because his dad owned a little grocery store in town. He wasn't wealthy. We all had an opportunity for secondary education. College, JUCO, trade schools, all of us, 100%. And that's because we had the benefit of being in a system that valued public education. And now, this governor, this supermajority, again, they're making no bones about this. You don't have to listen to me. Just listen to them. They want to privatize the system. They want school choice. I just got out of Malta and Glasgow and Glendive and every little town in between. I can't remember them all. What school choice is there over there for these young kids? There is none. We're going to take a math teacher or a music teacher or a bus driver away from these kids so some rich kid in Bozeman or Missoula can have quiche pans and yoga mats? No, we're not doing that. We are not going to strip the opportunity from Montana kids so that we can give the wealthy another leg up. The wealthy have enough legs up. We got enough legs up. People ask me, I live in Kalispell, my wife and I, we hunted birds on the way down here today. That's why we were just a little late getting in here. Yes, I took off my hunting pants on the edge of the road, put these jeans on. That's what a Montana governor does. Also, yeah, we did stop and have a beer at the American Legion. And Sarah says, excuse me, was it $6 for 2 beers? I think we'll be coming back here. But listen, people ask if living in Kalispell, seeing some of the ugly side of radicalized politics, if that's a hindrance to get elected as a Democrat. I say, hell no, it's not. I share values with these people. My next door neighbor, I joke, he's got the world record for Trump flags. He's had one every day, had it up every day since June of 2015. He's got a big spotlight on it. But Norm's a good dude, and he's my neighbor, and I like him. And sometimes I just got to look away from that Trump flag. Actually, every day, because I drive by. About a week ago, I'll tell you a little story about why this is important. I was lucky enough to get an elk last Tuesday up on public land, and I packed it out to my truck. And I already had this big Eastern Montana swing scheduled in, and I usually do my own butchering. I didn't have time to do it. But I thought, somewhere along the High Line and all the way over to Glendive and Miles City and back, I'll find some good Montanan somewhere and they'll help me out. So I called ahead Lindsay, the chair over in Hill County, and have her. I said, Lindsay, anybody over there that can help me butcher an elk. I'm going to be in Havre for a day and a half. She goes, I'll call you back. She calls back. She goes, well, there's this guy outside of town. His name's Bob. I think he does this, but be forewarned, I'm not sure his politics are going to match up with yours. I said, I don't care about his politics. I care if he can cut up an elk. So on the way over there, I get cell service. I call Bob. I say, hey, Bob, you cut up an elk? I'm coming from Kalispell. And he thought that was a little weird. He goes, yeah, I probably can. I said, where do you live? He goes, 3 miles outside of town, cross over Beaver Creek, big black mailbox, Trump flag right there, turn left. I said, I got it. I said, I've seen those around Kalispell. I'll be okay. So I pull in. Bob comes marching out of his shop. He's got his Trump hat on. We start chatting. Bob's got a lot of opinions. He doesn't like COVID. Doesn't like masks. If I'm reading things right, I don't think he likes Joe Biden a whole lot. He tells me how things are around there. But again, I'm looking around his shop like, I just care if you can cut up my elk, Bob. So we chat for a while. But he's curious about me after about 15, 20 minutes. He starts leaning into me a little bit over his counter. He says, what are you doing in Havre? I said, I told you I was having meetings. He goes, what kind of meetings you having in Havre? I said, important ones, Bob. He says, you got to tell me, if I'm going to cut up your elk, you got to tell me what you're doing in Havre. So I leaned over and I looked right at him. I said, I'm running for governor, Bob, and I got this funny feeling you and I aren't from the same political party, but I'd sure love your support. It gets real silent in there. Like can hear a pin drop kind of silent for about 30 seconds. We're just kind of staring each other down. Bob goes, I love Donald Trump. I said, I got that feeling, Bob. Then he looks at me again and he goes, but I hate that Greg Gianforte. I said, that's right. I think a lot of us that have lived through the last several years in this country and have been troubled with the radicalization that has flowed over us and broken families apart and stressed out workplaces. Somehow we thought that someday these people that we disagree with, whatever they look like, whatever flags they have, whatever hats they have, none of them look like this, by the way, there's a red. We thought that they're just going to march down to the middle of town, throw it all in a pile, burn it, tell us we were right, and we'll all feel good about ourselves. Well, here's the newsflash, that ain't happening. What is going to happen, though, is we're going to do what democracies and good citizens in democracies have always done. We're going to find common values. We're going to look away from the flag, just like I do every day when I drive into our yard and see that humongous spotlight on this thing that's up there about 30 feet tall. Okay, I said I'm going to look away from it. We're going to look away from that stuff and we're going to identify with people in the ways that it matters, in the ways that it's common to us. After I talked to Bob for a while, we laughed. Turns out, I bet you 75, 80% of the stuff in his life and my life we agree on. And if I can get his vote for governor, that's another thing we agree on. We have to do that. This is how we're going to win this race. This is how we're going to turn the state around. We thought it might be another way. It's not going to be another way. We're going to do it. I believe that the gubernatorial candidate and the governor of this state has to set the tone for our politics. Has to. And what is being set now out of Helena is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. It's evil. It's wrong. I could go on for a long time, but it's a lot of bad things. About half of that last legislative session was spent trying to get Montanans to hate each other. Now, I'm not about stepping in culture wars, stepping in the culture war traps. I think that Democrats can sometimes fall prey to that. I tell a lot of people, when I grew up on the ranch, if you came up along somebody in the ditch, they were broken down, they had a flat tire, you didn't pull up beside him and ask him 14 questions about how I can hate you, how tall you are, who you identify as, who you love, what color you are. We didn't ask those questions. You stop, you help them fix their tire, you get them on the road, you go on about your business. We have to be a state that helps people instead of a state that teaches people to hate each other. We have to do it. It sounds like a pretty low bar, but what's coming out of this legislative session and the supermajority and the governor is directly contrary to that. It has nothing to do with the Montana that I love that's made me a better person. This hatred, it's bad stuff. And it's changing us and our neighbors into things that we don't want to be and that we don't want our state to be. There's a lot of things, Mary mentioned the way the governor sets the tone for the state. I'm really concerned, I'm a hunter, really concerned with wildlife management. I think our interface with government, so many of us hunt and fish, and the way the finest wildlife management agency in the history of the United States is being shredded, the way our North American wildlife model is being ripped apart, it's a disaster. It has to be fixed. And that's the way so many governmental agencies are. Gianforte wants to make government as inefficient as possible so that you want as little of it as possible. Why? Because working people and average people, that is our tool. Government is our tool. It's not some far-off ethereal thing. Government is us. We are the government. We need it to work for us. We need it. He can't even be bothered to fill out some paperwork for $10 million in federal funds to feed hungry kids in Montana. Not the Montana that I know and love. Right after we launched our race, and the last thing I want to tell you is, I know it can be hard being in this place. By the way, I have a little PTSD. Last time I was here, a few years ago, I was standing right here, and some fools in this place screwed up by giving me the microphone, and those fools had the last name Bundy. So they gave me the microphone. I was the first, they didn't know who I was the first one to comment, and the Bundy bunch was standing right here. And I'm not going to back down from anybody. I didn't back down from them. I let them have it for as long as they let me go, and then they had to tap me and take the microphone from me. They wanted to show me the door. We launched on September 14th, and there were some national folks who thought that was kind of foolish because there was only 2 weeks left in the quarter. Everything's measured by fundraising and this metric and that metric, and I kept telling my team that I was putting together and these national folks, I said, we are not waiting one more minute. The people of Montana have to have somebody to fight against this stuff. So we launched, we put out our launch video. For those of you who haven't seen it, about 1.5 million folks have seen it now. It's the, if you haven't watched it, go to busseformontana.com and watch it. Send it to all your friends. Like launch videos for Western states, gubernatorial races, they don't get 100,000 views usually. This thing's 1.5 million. It's just basically just a Tuesday in the life of our family, but it is very much who we are, and it indicates to you that we're going to lean in and fight for this place. I think it's really important that we do that. What I was getting ready to tell you is I know it's hard to be a progressive or a Democrat or a liberal in a place like this sometimes. Sometimes it is in Kalispell. But I think that's because so often Democrats' actions do not match our rhetoric. If we say that we're in an existential crisis to save this state or our democracy, well then fight like it, govern like it, mean it. And so often we say the words, but we don't fight the fight. And voters see that, right? It looks fake to them. I'm not going to fake anything. We are in an existential crisis. My family and I are going to fight like it. In just a few hours, we have a incumbent governor who's tough to beat, and the big national prognosticators will tell you it's almost impossible to beat an incumbent governor. I don't believe it. It's impossible. I believe we're going to beat him. It wasn't even 6 hours after we launched, the big national folks who told me not to do it and told me that we didn't think we could win, they called and said, holy shit, we're in. And the DGA, the Democratic Governors Association, the National Party, they now have us ranked as the #2 race in the nation, North Carolina and Montana. In just 2 weeks after we launched, we had over 2,100 people sign up and donate and contribute to the campaign, and almost all of them were from Montana. Why? Because they believe we can do this. So I want you to know, by the way, we only have 2 rules on our campaign. 1, have fun, and 2, believe we can win. And if either one of those 2 aren't happening, get out. So we believe we can win. Not only do we believe we can win, we are going to win because we must win. We cannot allow this governor and this supermajority to set the tone for another 4 years. You will not you think you have problems now. You will not recognize this place if we wait another 4 years. I'm going to let you go by saying, look, it's a Sunday. It's beautiful. You could be doing lots of stuff, but you're here. You're fighting. You're being with your neighbors, right? You're going to fight the battle, and it's important. Maybe nothing more important for our state and our way of life. You should pat each other on the back, and then you should go recruit some other people to do it with you. We can do this. I'm going to be a candidate you can be proud of, that you can knock doors for. That, by the way, I pulled in here, and there's a Busse for Montana sticker out there. That's an awesome one. Also, whoever has the Trump Putin sticker on the car, I took a picture of it. That's like right up there with my favorites. I love you folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Thank you for loving Montana. Let's do this.